Now we're gonna go in the car and go to the renovation that you're working on because I haven't seen it in like 2 months, right?
And you're staging it tomorrow.
No, it needs work still.
So people say that a house is not an asset. But what is an asset really? And are people wrong about not only what the spirit of an asset is, but the 3 types of assets there really are? Watch the video to the end and then you're gonna learn, but don't click out, because then you won't learn. Why do I keep running back and forth? Because that's what I do.
I was saying I think that it would look better for the fireplace to be stained a darker, like more chocolatey color than the red hue.
I don't know.
We'll see. What?
Light boxes on our patio cover posts.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 of
Fancy.
them. I know. An asset is anything that has an underlying value. What are some examples of assets? Well, you can have a vacant plot of land, you can have an air conditioner, car, private jet, 500-unit apartment building, a house, espresso machine.
Yeah, and an asset, it doesn't mean that an asset can't go down in value, and it also doesn't mean you should just acquire junk.
Exactly, and there's an important equation that's oftentimes missing, and that's the basic accounting equation that says assets equal liability plus equity.
When you hear that definition, the accounting version of the definition of assets, it really does make sense if you think about it. Kevin, I'm an asset to our household. Sadly, my value has gone down so much.
No, Lauren, there's a balance to the equation. What this means is if you buy a $500 Apple stock for cash, you have a $500 asset, you have a liability of 0, and you have equity of $500. Net worth of $500 because you didn't borrow any money to get that. Now let's say you borrowed $200 to buy that $500 stock. Now the equation looks like $500 asset, $200 liability, and $300 in equity. Now it's balanced, $500 on each side.
Kevin, I was just looking at you talk this whole time, and I'm really sorry, but you have gray hair.
It's all the stress.
You want me to have me pluck it out? I'm gonna get it.
It's not my hair, that's why. Ow! You just ripped like 4 of them!
I didn't even
Ow! Well, you missed it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm done.
Sorry.
I had one.
And no, you still have it. You're -4 normal colored hairs. I'll get some tweezers.
So you basically just increase the proportion of gray.
Yeah, in that little zone.
If you have $200 in debt on that stock, but the asset goes up in value 10%, you just made $50 in equity, but your debt stayed the same. That's why the accounting equation is so unique, because it always balances.
It's a safety feature, gosh!
Lauren, what's an example of something that's not so good?
The $2,000 espresso machine that you want, which you were like, oh, Lauren, don't get a Keurig. You don't need a Keurig, but I want this $2,000 espresso machine. That's exactly how you sound. What?
So let's go with that. $2,000 espresso machine. You buy it on a credit card. $2,000 asset, $2,000 in liability, $0 in equity. That's because it's balanced. But here's the interesting thing. That $2,000 espresso machine, as soon as I use it, maybe now it's only worth $1,000 because it immediately declined in value. Now I have a $1,000 asset, I have $2,000 in liability, and I have to balance the equation, so I have negative $1,000 in equity. I just lost $1,000 in net worth because I bought this espresso machine all in debt.
Can I just say that it's very hard to turn into the right lane when you're going like this over my mirror?
You made this mirror? Different type of example now. Now you're a business owner. You want to buy a CNC machine for your factory. You spend $50,000 on the machine. Maintenance and decline in value over the next 5 years is going to cost you $25,000. You've lost $25,000 in net worth with the machine. But the machine enabled you to resell it for $25,000. It's leftover value, it's residual value. But you were able to use it to make $200,000 in profit in your business.
This Jeep up here, he's being very, very aggressive, and he's gonna lose his asset value real quickly because he's gonna get in a car accident.
I don't see it.
He's in front of the black car, Kevin, in front of the black car in front of us. He's right there! Tailgating, Kevin! Tailgating!
By the way, if you want to see more of this beautiful princess, you better watch the whole video all the way to the end, otherwise you're gonna miss it. She might flash you, you'll just have to look for it.
What? I will only show a little bit of skin right here.
So there are 3 levels of assets. A level 1 asset does not produce income and does not generally go up in value. A level 2 asset produces income, but generally does not go up in value. I say generally because you can kind of move amongst these things. Now there's a level 3 asset right there. Look at these level 3 assets. Hey, how you doing? Where are you going?
Oh yeah, do it again.
Oh my gosh. It's helping reduce the value of that asset. Certainly a big apartment building is almost always going to be level 3 because generally they go up in value and they produce income. A plot of land, on the other hand, has no ability to produce income because you can't rent it out. But it could go up in value, so it's kind of a little bit of like, is it a 2, is it a 3? Do you like assets?
Do you like the poop that's in your butt?
Yeah.
Is that an asset or is that a liability?
It's a liability for sure. Yes.
Oh, you're calling it a liability.
Yeah.
I guess that goes to show people have different opinions as to what's an asset and what's a
Do you
liability.
think that poopy diaper is an asset, Kevin?
Oh, let's see. It doesn't produce income, and I don't think it goes up in value.
No.
In fact, I think the longer you leave it there, the more you lose value in other things.
Yes.
Like this kid. Are you seriously still sucking on a pacifier?
He only gets the pacifier in the car and in his crib. That's it.
Asterisk.
Well, he has a transitional period. You have to
Asterisk.
respect it.
So then there's the spirit of an asset. The spirit of an asset is that an asset should be an investment overall, but a net investment. That doesn't mean that assets don't have expenses, that they don't have maintenance, that an air conditioner doesn't require Freon, that a CNC machine doesn't require calibration, and a coffee machine doesn't require filters. It doesn't mean that a house doesn't require roof work or painting. But what people are saying when they say a house is not an asset, they're implying that just because you live in a house and it has expenses, a house is not an asset. But a house is an asset. A house is actually a level 3 asset because it has the potential to produce income. And number 2, it generally goes up in value in the long run. Real estate is generally a good hedge against inflation and then some. You generally get a little bit more, right? Rusting after 3 years? Come on. I mean, I paid like $23 for this. And it's rusting. The debt on the $700,000 house is about $480,000. That leaves about $220,000 of equity. That's the net worth position of this house. The expenses to maintain the house are a lofty $5,000, which I think are really high. The expenses are probably less to maintain this house. They're probably closer to $2,500 a year. If now the market value goes up, say 5 or 10%, that means my equity position went up $35,000 to $70,000, or a net increase of $30,000 to $65,000. And I didn't do anything. It's an asset. It went up in value. My debt stayed the same. In fact, it probably went down because I'm making the payment every single month. And now my overall net worth is greater. But the point isn't to sit here and just say, oh, you should own a house because it's going to appreciate in value. The real goal of this house is to live in it for a few years and then turn it into a rental, because then it officially becomes a true level 3 asset.
Jack, can you give the camera a high five?
Yeah.
Do it!